Hello, viewer. You'll have seen in previous episodes where I have attempted to do strimming. I have two strimmers, both charming Ryobi pieces of equipment. Neither of them behave well. And when they behave poorly, I revert to the scythe. So today I've brought both of the Ryobis and the scythe to deal with this patch of grass, some weeds back there, and generally this area. So we'll see how we get on. Well, that's a bad start. This one is making squeaking sounds, which means that it's leaking. In fact, I can see a hole in the petrol tank that this hose is supposed to be going into and isn't. So that is knackered for the start. Less than half of it done and it won't start. Unbelievable. So it works for 5 minutes and then done. I just don't understand it. I'll tell you what, the Grim Reaper must be fit. Oh. Right, that's cut down sufficiently close to the ground that I can go around and spray with a weed killer. And the weed killer will kill the fresher shoots because they soak up the weed killer faster, allegedly. Before I do weed killing though, I'm going to be harvesting some of these yellow cherries. I'll show you a photo of them. So here we are 7th or 8th of June, and those are pretty much ready to be picked. There we go. That's it for the moment. I will save that pile of greenery to go onto the compost pile and put all of these ridiculous power tools away, such as they are, and put my scythe away with great care, because it's the only one that actually does the job without argument. Right, that's me for the moment. See you in a bit. Well, we're at the columbage barn, and it's just a little job that's a bit annoying, but needs to be done. So we've got a sort of a mezzanine here at one end of the columbage barn, and unbelievably, I hadn't even looked at what was on top of the mezzanine for about a year and a half after we'd bought it. So I came up and had a look. It's got more straw, but it's very, very thin coating of it. So the question is, shall I go down and get myself a rake and just rake up all of this straw? I mean, at some point it's got to come down, whether it comes down with the floorboards or whether it comes down before the floorboards. It's just a task, isn't it? So I think I'll go and do that. Right. Now, if it looks like I'm walking around rather gingerly, I am, because there are some holes in the roof, and the water that's come down has rotted the floorboards on the places where it's rotted them. So there are some places where I don't really want to stand, but we'll see what happens. Well, I'm not going to bother sweeping up because the rest of it is pretty much just dust. And that'll all come down when we take the floorboards down. But bag of straw. I'll probably leave it outside and see if it composts down in the rain. Come on, let's go downstairs. This is what I meant by the hole in the roof lets the rain in and rots the floorboards, and probably also the joist underneath. So I don't really want to be standing on that. But that's enough for today. Let's wander off and do another job. Well, as you can see, the barrels that we used to put our plants in, all of the rings have dropped to the floor, which means that all of the staves can just fall out, and they may do just that. So I was planning on putting the rings back into position, but there's a very high probability that the whole thing will just fall apart and I won't be able to do that. But that's my plan, so let's see what happens. So far, so good. Now I could drill holes in the rings, put a screw through to try and hold the rings in place and stop them from falling down again, which would be the sensible thing to do. The alternative is I just put a screw into the wood directly below the ring so that it can't drop, which would be simpler. Unfortunately, the screws that I've got are not stainless steel, they're just passivated or zinc coated, so they will rust. Looking at the state of the wood that this barrel is, I don't know how much life it's got left in it, but let's give it some more life. I think I'll put the screws in just below the ring, stop it falling, stop the rings dropping. That should hold the barrel staves in place. It's got to be a viable solution. Right, let's do that. Obviously in the hot and the cold and the dry and the wet, the timbers will swell and then shrink and swell and shrink. So it's not overly surprising that the rings just fall off. All right, so I'll go and get the hose in a minute and water all of these plants. We've got the other end of the barrel has done exactly the same thing over there. Obviously, I'm trying to put this in at the middle of the stave to give it the most chance of actually staying in place. But since some of the staves are actually slightly warped and they're not tight up against the ring, sometimes I'll move across to get to a point where the stave is tight to the ring. So obviously I've drilled holes around the bottom because this one didn't have any holes in, so there was a couple of centimetres of very, very smelly water in it. Nice to be able to sit on the bench and have a look at your hard work. You don't need to watch me watering the plants, do you? No. So I'll water the plants because some of them have, the soil has compacted away from the edge of the tub, so obviously it's quite dry out. So we fill it up with water. That should see it good for a while. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you know about coopering or if you know about plant maintenance, because I know neither. And hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.